Today we're talking to Emma Blades, Customer Relationship Manager with Metservice New Zealand, about her role and some of the commercial aspects of the business. Kia ora, Emma.
Kia ora.
You're a meteorologist by profession. How did you move from forecasting weather to working directly with customers?
Yeah, so I worked as a meteorologist in the forecast room at Metservice for a few years. I've got a master's in meteorology. I made the move. Shift works can take quite a toll on family life, and this was a really fun team I already knew about, who are meteorologists working direct with clients. So when a role came up, I was really interested in moving over. So it was a fairly straightforward transition. It's just that instead of producing a forecast and you're not working directly with the end user, you're able to go out, talk to the end users, talk to the clients, understand what they want, and work with them directly.
Right. So what does being a customer relationship manager actually involve with this interaction with customers?
Yeah, so being a customer relationship manager, my job is to look after my clients, make new connections and really build up relationships. We try to understand what they need and respond to their needs. It could be on a day-to-day basis. Something's come up, they need to add a forecast. They might have a question, a technical question for us, but also working longer term with them to understand their business needs, how things are evolving and what we can do to help them.
What do you feel are some of the important skills you need for a role in customer relationship management?
I think you need to be a really, really good listener. When I go and meet with my clients, I should be listening 90% of the time, especially initially, to really understand what they want. And then the other part, my skill particularly for this role, is that background in meteorology, because my customers will be an expert in the meteorology that specifically affects them, so I have to be able to hold my own and to know enough about the modelling, how meteorology works, to have that conversation with them to help them come up with a solution.
Right. And so tell us a little bit about broadly who some of your customers are and what services do they require from the Met Service.
So everyone needs weather. It's very, very broad ranging. Most people will be familiar with the forecasts that we provide direct to the public. A big suite of our clients would be, say, the regional councils, local government. They're especially interested in the severe weather. We work with their hydrologists around flooding. We actually do a training course for the hydrologists from the regional councils. But of course, severe weather affects many companies, such as your lines companies, the water utilities. And then we work generally with many other organisations as well.
That's great. Metservice has been judged to be one of New Zealand's most trusted brands. How do you generate trust with customers and build on that?
Yeah, no, it's really great to be one of the most trusted organisations in New Zealand. I think it's being very transparent with clients, having an open conversation about what services we can offer. Forecasts are not 100% accurate, so sometimes it's having those tough discussions where you can say, yes, our temperature forecast is super accurate, I'm so confident that. If you're asking for a forecast 4 weeks out, really how good is that forecast? So it's being open, explaining to them how things work, answering their questions, and just being available as well. I think because we are also a state-owned enterprise, we are seen as being trustworthy. We're very open about how we do things.
Transparency is very important. But if a client is less than happy with the fact that it rained on a day they thought it was going to be fine, or some other aspect of the service, how do you handle that? We know weather forecasting isn't 100% accurate, but you do the best you can with the models and the data. But if they get really upset, how do you handle a grumpy client?
And yeah, as you say, forecasting is not perfect, but there are instances which have really, really big impacts for some clients when that forecast is not wrong, especially around safety if something happens. So it's again listening, trying to understand what it was that happened, why they're upset, and taking them through, okay, the forecast is not 100% accurate, but what improvements can we make to try and help you in the future? Most clients do understand the uncertainty, but there are some that do get frustrated. They say, just give me the answer, and I'm like, well, this is the best we can do. So it's really making sure that they have the right expectations, but also we'll try and build the service in a way that meets their needs.
You talk about listening and how important it is to listen to what the clients require, and then not just meteorology, but your clients come from quite wide and varied backgrounds. How do you come to grips with what a lines company actually does, or why regional councils, hydrologists need to know this information? You almost have to specialise in their area as well. How do you do that?
There's the two main ways. One would be building up my own awareness around an industry, so that's going out seeking that information. A lot of information is obviously available on the internet, so I can do my own research. But also we will spend a lot of time with clients, and we're very fortunate that most of them will give us that time to sit down with us to explain how their business works. And we work with lots of clients from the same industry, so once you understand how generally one lines company works, you can understand the industry. So then when you go and talk to them, at least you have some knowledge, and then it's finding out exactly what their issue is. So Wellington, it's going to be all about wind, but somewhere in the South Island it might be icing could be an issue for them. So yeah, a little bit of both.
Yeah. And in a global environment, the Met Service is able to compete successfully for international business, and it may surprise some people who watch this that it's actually an international brand with the Metra weather arm providing a number of services across Australia and Europe and the UK. But of course the reverse can also happen. International companies can come here and compete in what is actually quite a small market for New Zealand business. So if you have a solid product and a strong relationship with a client, they're less likely to change suppliers. But you still need to know who your competition is, and how do you gather business intel on your competition and keep an eye on what they're up to?
Yeah, really good question. It's quite similar to my past answer. So one, you will go out and you'll be looking, actively following these companies, say on the likes of LinkedIn, to see what are they doing, what are they rolling out. But we're very lucky because we have a high trust relationship with our clients, and we will always say to them, let me know if there's any issues or if you're seeing something else. Tell us, rather than just moving. So quite often we'll go somewhere and they'll say, oh, we've seen this from this other company's coming in and spoken to us, or we've seen this. Quite often there's a lot of free products out there as well that we have to compete with. So yeah, it's just understanding, keeping an eye on what other people are doing so we can try and stay one step ahead.
Did you know that Wellington City Libraries has a dedicated business specialist with access to products and services that could assist you?
I had heard that, but I don't know much about it actually, Linda. I'd really like to find out more.
We will be able to discuss this more after this interview, Emma. What comes first? The client's need for a product, and Metservice then designs something to that brief, or it's a bit of a chicken and egg question, or does the Metservice sometimes realise they can do something with data that becomes a product or a service that might be pitched to a client, or a bit of both?
A bit of both. If we're looking across an industry and we understand that industry well, and we think this is what we need to meet the needs of that industry, we will design a product that we can sell many times to many people. For example, we do these a threat matrix, which is just a simple red, amber, green system to flag, if at a quick glance, are there any issues. But then we can tailor that specifically for them, because they might have, oh, if the winds are gusting over 100 km/h, my guys can't go out, my workers can't go out. But sometimes when we have really high value clients, we will work specifically with them jointly to build something specifically that they need for their business. But quite often that could be applicable after that to other companies as well.
Yeah, if you've got something, it can just be tweaked and moved on to another one. Do you network to generate new business on clients? And if so, what forums do you find most effective? You say you follow people on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
What other ways do you keep an eye on people who could potentially be a client?
Yeah, we're quite fortunate in New Zealand. It's small, so a lot of it is, you can meet people through other people. So for example, I go to an energy trader forum because I look after a lot of trading clients. So I can go there and say meet 100 people at once, be introduced to people, talk to new clients, talk to existing clients. And that's an in-person thing, which has been tricky with COVID, but it's important. We also will go to trade shows, and we'll have a stand on, so we can meet brand new people that way as well. And also the clients will be there. I do find LinkedIn really good as well, because generally I will work with one person in a company, my main person, but on LinkedIn I can say link in with 8 people from that company and build relationships with a wider team there, and sort of talk about the things that Metservice can do.
Right. Yes, COVID has changed things, and I know from my own personal experience recently, a conference meant that it went online, and it wasn't the same connecting with the vendors of products that we use. It is hard to build a relationship online, but as you say, at the same time you can sometimes reach more people. So do you think COVID's limited opportunities to network, or just changed and people have to think about it differently?
I think it has limited it in a way, because I do think that face-to-face interaction is really important.
The way to do it.
Especially when you're meeting someone for the first time.
Yeah.
However, there's also been benefits, because a lot of my clients who perhaps weren't comfortable doing the likes of the team meetings before are really comfortable. And before, I would have to fly to see someone, and perhaps I can, justify buying another 5 airfares for 5 of the experts in my team. Whereas now they're quite happy to meet on Teams, and I can bring along our research scientist, one of our data scientists. So there's pros and cons, but I do find if I can meet someone in person, at least for the first time, that's really important.
It is still an important way of connecting. If you identified a company that might benefit from a service or product you have, do you cold call them?
We don't very often cold call. We can do a lukewarm call, and by that I mean we call on our networks that we already have, and we tend to have an introduction, say, there's this person here, I think they can help with our services, can you introduce me? Or who would be the best person in this company to call? So we do it's kind of a lukewarm call. Cold calls are not very successful, but we're quite fortunate as well that because we have such a strong brand, quite often we will be the first people reach out to, and then we will straight away get back to that person and look at what we can do for them.
Yeah, I like that, lukewarm calling instead of cold calling. It makes it sound so much friendlier.
Yeah.
Like many businesses the world over, the Metservice was abruptly impacted by COVID. Can you tell us a bit about what happened and how you've adapted since March 2020?
Yeah, we were impacted, but we're fortunate in ways that we've got quite a broad portfolio of customers. The biggest hit for us was in aviation, because of course aviation all but shut down during the start of the pandemic at least. But because we have quite a wide portfolio, we obviously have the public that we look after with severe weather, we have the regional councils, everyone needs to keep going, NZTA need to keep going, energy needs to be generated, the ports need to keep moving. So most of our clients, most of that business actually continued to grow. But yeah, aviation was quite difficult in that area.
Yeah, and what about things like the shovel-ready projects that were all talked about quite a lot, but we don't hear much of now? But back in March, April, May last year, councils and other organisations were into shovel-ready projects.
Yeah.
Is that still part of the business? Is there anything that's coming out of that?
We do a lot with transport, with the transport agency. Qatar here are a big client, so and a lot of their contractors as well. Like Transmission Gully is still going on. So yeah, we're still continuing to look after those clients. I can't really think of any other sort of big construction stuff going on that we're particularly involved with. But I don't have an eye across every part of the business.
Looking into the crystal ball, or perhaps more accurately using data modelling for meteorologists, what do you see happening in 2022? What will the impact be?
How was our business moving?
Business-wise, yeah.
Yeah, so for us, we are always trying to look at new innovative ways to do things. We're becoming a more dynamic business. We are a state-owned enterprise, but we're also commercial, so we're trying to shake things up a little bit that way. We look to automate more products so that we can free up our meteorologists to work more directly with clients, do a bit more consultancy. Just continue to grow our businesses in existing areas.
That's great. Emma Blades, thank you for your time today, and I look forward to talking to you a bit more about the services being offered by Wellington City Libraries. Thank you.
Thank you.